God, how good is spring, right? Such a lovely time of year with all this amazing new growth. And growth is a common part of the life cycle of literally every living thing on this planet. And that growth happens in very distinct phases. For some, growth occurs seasonally, like plants that will bloom once winter fades. And for others, growth is a quick period in life, such as puberty, where changes happen in a relatively short period of time, and then they slow or even digress for the remainder of the lifespan. Regardless, everything grows in some way, shape, or form up to a certain point before slowing as the organism matures, at which point they begin to operate in ways that could be considered to be more responsible to prolong their life and the survival of their offspring. Yet over the past few hundred years, us humans have become obsessed with the notion of growth, endlessly seeking it in all the endeavors we pursue, growing skills, wealth, assets, business, sales, GDP, etc. And while growth is a natural part of life on this planet, the only thing that never stops growing is cancer, which will continue to grow to a point where it eventually kills its host. And is that really something we should be aspiring for? Recently I've heard a lot of people compare humans to a cancer on Earth, that we're slowly killing it, but humans have existed for thousands of years, living in harmony with these ecosystems for a vast majority of that time. Humans inherently aren't a cancer, but this belief in endless growth that Western society has cultivated is. The idea of endless growth on a finite planet that capitalism relies on in order to function allows for the perpetual enclosure of resources by private capital and subsequent appropriation and extraction of those resources, as well as the labor, community, and cultures of the places they come from, in order to minimize costs and increase profits. And this system is the root of not only vast inequality, inequity, and deeply racist patriarchal colonial structures around the world, but rampant ecological destruction, biodiversity loss, and the climate crisis itself. At what point in the life cycle of society do we stop growing and even shrink to a sustainable level? Maybe we need to evolve the idea of growth to be one of mature, responsible thinking and actions, to recognize that maybe we don't need to make more and more money, that we can spend quality time with friends instead of mindless consumption, that we don't need to continue to grow our assets holding, but instead enjoy what we have now with family more, that business profits can be used to better support its employees and community rather than expanding operations to do more and more and more business. Perhaps we can take a cue from nature, from all the life that surrounds us, and recognize that maybe it's time for us to mature as organisms and as a society, to be more responsible in all that we do on this planet, to live lives of quality instead of consuming quantity, to ensure the survival of our offspring and everything else we rely on to survive. Because if we keep acting like a cancer, then eventually we'll end up killing our planet and thus ourselves. And that's no bueno.